professor had conveniently flown to Paris for an indefinite exile, an escape, he told friends. The night before his departure, J.M. and Hugo had traded stories at Speck's bar, where the artist confided more than a few truths over brandies. J.M. began with confessions of his own marital disasters, before advising Hugo on his recent painful separation. "Win her back, son," advised the older bohemian, as he handed Hugo the keys to his flat. "Carmen is a rare work of art, formidable." In his brief residency on the top floor of 2101 Grant Avenue, Hugo had pored through first editions of Howl and stacks of City Lights journals. He listened with reverence to the rare, personalized pressing of Thelonious Alone in San Francisco on the flat's vintage turntable. He wrote poetry at the kitchen table, and thanks to J.M.'s vintage candy apple red espresso machine, Hugo had renewed his love affair with the thick, dark liquid. Although the scene had flared before his time, Hugo was content knowing that his own exile was framed in the art and artifacts of the Beat generation, a culture that once defined his city. It was a solemn Hugo who stood at the kitchen balcony, sipping his double espresso with a clumsy mark of steamed milk that defined the macchiato. Solemn and worried. He knew Ava's work on the coast put her at risk from time to time. Just last summer, she and her team tracked a humpback whale entangled by fishing gear for 2 days until they were able to cut it free. He hated the risks she took, but he trusted her. His macchiato had gone cold. Why was Ava trying to reach him at 4 a.m.? In the garden below, Mrs. Tassantis, the attractive proprietress of the North by South Greek deli, retrieved her Pomeranian from the rose bed. As was her nature, the neighborhood's Greek siren casually allowed her dressing gown to slip off her shoulders. Hugo barely took notice that morning. Instead, he closed his eyes and looked out over the bay, inhaling deeply to drink in the tide on its retreat. The lingering breath of the bay's muddied shore reminded him he needed a shower. Before jumping in, he redialed his daughter's cell phone to no avail, and left another message with her office at the Marine Lab. Hugo loved Jean-Michel's shower, with the floor-to-ceiling white subway tiles and the extravagant water pressure, which inspired some of his best thinking. It was a luxury, indeed an indulgence for a single man such as he. While his body longed to linger under the waterfall, he cut his shower short, but not before the hot water revealed what had triggered his recurring dream in the pre-dawn hours. It was as he feared. The fallout that awaited him on Pier 50 was not the culprit. No, the trigger was far more intimate and disturbing, especially now with Ava in the mix. Repeated texts had knocked Hugo's cell phone to the floor. Ping! Their insistence bounced the inspector's phone along the slippery linoleum out of reach. When he finally snagged it, wet feet squealing, he read, "Sorry, Dad, out of range. Come see my whale. Need you." He quickly texted back, "Where are you?" In the fall of 2011, Hugo was still a fan of the phone call. For him, the person-to-person touch was everything. Texts left him cold. What little he did know about texting he had learned from the teenage Ava on their explorations around the city. They were quite the team. He would show her where a decorative Victorian cornice extended far over the next building's facade, and she would demonstrate the art of texting while sharing a stack of banana pancakes at Mama's on Washington Square. Hugo stared at his hand, hoping for any reply from his girl. Nothing. No response to his text. He retreated to the bedroom to dress. It was not unusual for Hugo to be called upon to resolve issues outside the normal routine of a building inspector. Colleagues respected his impassioned methodology and admired his calm professional demeanor as he